Okay, good morning everybody. So let us take the third abiotic factor, water. You all know water as a ecological factor because without water our life is unsustainable, means we cannot keep our life. So universal solvent is water. This is required for all life activities. Hence it is universal solvent, assertion reason. Because without water no metabolic activity can be continued. So sustaining of life, life sustenance or sustaining of life is possible only with water. Without water our life is unsustainable. Means we cannot continue our life. We cannot keep our life. That is the meaning of sustain. Sustain means to keep. So sustaining of life, water is required. So the water varies in different environments according to their chemical composition. Water varies. Regarding salt concentration, this is important always important. Less than 5% concentration, salt concentration is there, means salinity. Salt concentration means salinity variation. In inland waters, the term is used. Inland waters means fresh waters. You also practice this word, inland waters. Less than 5% salinity is there in the inland waters. Inland waters, in the bracket you write down freshwater bodies. So salt content in the freshwater bodies only less than 5%. This is most important. Less than or greater than. The questions we are failing in the examination, these are very teeny mini mistakes. Small mistake. Less than or greater than. They will give in the statement above 5% salinity variations occur in the water. That is given, fresh water. But actually in our book it is less than 5%. This is there in both NEET as well as NEET book and this academic book. But regarding coming to the salt water, that is sea water, 30 to 35% salinity is there. 30 to 35% salinity in salt water or sea water, marine waters. So in the lagoons, that is not given in the academy, it is given in the NCERT. If you refer the NCERT book, second year NCERT book, you take the water, 100% salinity variations, 100% salinity occurs in the lagoons. Lagoons, they are formed in the sea. In the sea there are some limestone heaps are there, corals. So in between the corals, these lagoons are formed. There the salinity is 100%. 100% salinity present in lagoons. You write down this LAGOONS, lagoons. Underline. So freshwater, seawater and lagoons, these salinity variations are there. So this is the introductory feature of the water. And another most important feature is water is essential for life activities. Already I told you here itself, it is a universal solvent, assertion. Reason, because it is required for the continuation of metabolic activities. So water is required for all metabolic activities. Without water, no metabolism occurs. So this is noteworthy point, another important point. Now, how these variations occur in different water bodies, let us see. We think that ocean and sea is with full of water, plenty of water is available. Then how they face the water problems? Do they have water problems in seawater when it is available in large amounts? No, they face. There is a physiological reason for which they are facing. Body fluids concentration is lesser than the salt water. That is the problem. Even in freshwater bodies also, reservoirs, lakes, they are all there, rivers, in which the body fluids concentration is greater than the freshwater. That is the problem. So that's why how they overcome these osmoregulatory challenges, let us see. So in first one, let us take this freshwater bodies. Freshwater problems. You can put heading like that. Or water relations regarding freshwater. So of course this is not clearly given in the NCERT, but in our book all these headings are kept. Inland waters. Just now this point you have to raise. The concentration of body fluids better you write this point, because assertion reason type questions also in the recent NEET paper 4 to 5 assertion reason questions have been touched. So that's why I am giving assertion reason also. Freshwater organisms, shortcut I am writing FW means freshwater. Freshwater organisms exhibit endosmosis. Exhibit endosmosis. What is endosmosis? Continuous flow of water into the body. That is endosmosis. You just underline this term, physiological term. Endosmosis. Reason is, second point you go for reason. Reason is the body concentration of body fluids. Concentration of body fluids of freshwater organisms is greater than surrounding water. That's why endosmosis occurs. Is greater than surrounding fresh water. Hence endosmosis. That is the reason. So when the water enters continuously into the body of freshwater organisms, what they must do? They must undergo some adaptations to overcome this problem. So this is also very dangerous. For example, first example you take amoeba. Amoeba is freshwater. Not only amoeba, euglena. In locomotion reproduction, euglena, paramecium diagrams also we have drawn very nicely. I think it might have been practiced by this time, these two diagrams, euglena, paramecium. So these three are freshwater protozoans. All these three have to eliminate the excess water, because there is a continuous flow of water into the body from surrounding freshwater reservoirs, freshwater bodies. The water enters continuously into the body. Then the animals may bulge and burst and rupture. Definitely they will die. To remove that excess water, or to eliminate the excess water, they develop, amoeba, euglena, paramecium develop contractile vacuole. This is the adaptation undergone by freshwater protozoans. Contractile vacuole. I think, have you seen in the diagram of euglena and paramecium the contractile vacuoles? In the transverse binary fission of paramecium also we have discussed about anterior contractile vacuole and posterior proteroendopista. So these contractile vacuole which eliminate the excess water. So this should be underlined. That is an adaptation for freshwater protozoans. Now another example, second example, freshwater fishes. If you take freshwater fishes, what is the adaptation you know? They develop glomerular kidney with many nephrons. Glomerular kidneys always eliminate the excess water. and more urine, excretion of diluted urine. Another important point. Diluted urine means urine with more water. So excretion of diluted urine. So when the excretion of diluted urine occurs, some salts also escape. So from water passing through gills, the gills contain chloride cells. Chloride cells, where they are present? Gills. Chloride cells also called, in the bracket you write down, ionocytes. Chloride cells also called ionocytes. So these chloride cells present on gills absorb the salts, which are lost through urine. That you have to add, which are lost through urine. Diluted urine, more urine is excreted, so there is a chance of going out of salts from the body. When the many salts go out, the osmotic balance is disturbed. To maintain that osmoregulatory mechanism, so these three are developed. What are they? First, glomerular kidney in freshwater fishes, excretion of diluted urine, and presence of chloride cells or ionocytes on the gills. Ionocytes, I have given this name. In the book it may be present or may not be present. Especially in the NCERT book it is not there. So these three osmoregulatory mechanisms developed by the freshwater bony fishes. It's very important point, fourth point. And then let us come to the next example. Freshwater sponges. These freshwater sponges, especially, they develop internal buds to tide over the unfavorable conditions. Internal buds, because in summer season there is a desiccation. So these internal buds are called, they develop internal buds called gemmules. Gemmules should be underlined. Gemmules should be underlined to tide over the unfavorable conditions in summer. Gemmules are helpful for the overcoming of to tide over the unfavorable conditions in summer. Because in summer only freshwater bodies get dried up, put in a desiccation. Desiccation means waterless condition. So temporarily, to overcome this problem, they develop these internal buds and take rest till the favorable conditions return, till the rainy season. When the rains come and all freshwater bodies again filled with water, again from the gemmules they come out and lead a free living life. So this is a adaptation in the freshwater sponges, which are called, what are they? Gemmules. Most important bit. Most important. So put a star mark at the fifth point. And then all freshwater protozoans, just now I told you, one mechanism developed by freshwater protozoans is contractile vacuole. Another mechanism, freshwater protozoans in summer undergo encystation. This phenomenon is very beautiful phenomenon. For example, amoeba. Amoeba is actually, originally amoeba is like this. We all know about this, with pseudopodia, nucleus and contractile vacuole, food vacuole, etc. But in summer season, it loses pseudopodia and becomes round. It loses contractile vacuole also. Develops cyst made up of chitin. So of course these details are not given. The cyst wall of amoeba is three-layered. Three-layered cyst is developed. So details I am giving not there in the simple line only given, ancestation. So this is tri-layered cyst that is developed. Cyst made up of, that substance is called chitin. Chitin never allows the water into the body and never allows the water from the body to the outside. Entry and exit of water is stopped. So that is the help given by this phenomenon is called encystation. That is done in the freshwater protozoans. A freshwater fish like African lungfish. This is last example. African lungfish, scientific name you write down, Protopterus. There are 3 lungfishes in the world. Discontinuously distributed. This is given in the Ratite. While giving Ratite birds, characters of Ratite birds already I have given, you know. In that flightless birds, at that time they are also discontinuously distributed. African ostrich Srutio, American ostrich Rhea, and kiwi of New Zealand, emus of Australia. Like that, in different continents they are scattered and distributed. That is called discontinuous zoogeography. So like that, these lungfishes also dipnoi, commonly called dipnoi, they distribute in the Africa, South America and Australia. African lungfish Protopterus, South American lungfish Lepidosiren, and Australian lungfish Neoceratodus. Of course not necessary, just for the sake of information I am giving. African lungfish is Protopterus. It develops, it buries into the mud, make burrows, buries into the mud or make burrows in the mud and form a gelatinous cocoon around its body. Gelatinous cocoon should be underlined and form a gelatinous cocoon should be underlined around the body, taking rest till favorable conditions. Taking rest or stopping all activities, all metabolic activities also stopped. That is the adaptation done by Protopterus. So last example. Okay. Now, as far as freshwater problems, this is, and then seawater problems. B. Marine water problems. This is actually for 4 marks question also, but 4 marks questions this time deleted. Already I have given the weightage of the 8th unit, 8 plus 2. 8 plus 2 means 1 essay question and 1 2 marks question also come from this unit. So up to this only it is there, not deleted. Population interaction also, next topic population interaction, that is also there. The next topic is ecosystems, that is deleted. Totally deleted ecosystems. Okay, food chains, food webs, energy flow, they are all deleted. Environmental issues also deleted. Population growth again it is there. Growth curves, growth models are there. At the time I will tell you once again. So marine water problems, how they overcome the osmoregulatory challenges in the seawater. Seawater is available in large amounts. Everybody knows that. Sea never dried up. Plenty of water is available always. But they have a problem. So this problem assertion, again assertion reason question. Marine organisms, first point, exhibit exosmosis, reverse of freshwater organisms. Exhibit exosmosis means loss of water from the body. That is very dangerous, you know. They put in dehydration. So marine organisms exhibit exosmosis. Exosmosis. So reason is, what is the reason? Concentration of body fluids is lesser than the surrounding seawater. That is the reason. These physiological reasons help to develop an adaptation to overcome those osmoregulatory challenges. Really they are facing nice challenge. Even humans also we are facing. So that's why concentration of body fluids is lesser than the surrounding seawater. That is the problem here. So this is the reason why the water comes out of the body. Surrounding seawater or salt water. Salt water concentration is always greater than the body fluids. Like that also you can write down that point. So exosmosis. That leads to exosmosis causes, X means to the external, X outside. Exosmosis causes the loss of water from the body and leads to dehydration and they will die also. Death risk also there. So that is the problem. To overcome this, how they overcome, let us see. First example, marine fishes. Marine fishes generally they have aglomerular kidney with less neurons. This is the most important point. Glomerulus is absent. When the glomerulus is absent, filtration of blood also is stopped almost. So escape of water from the body is thus prevented. So that's why aglomerular kidney with less number of neurons. This is the most important mechanism that is developed by all marine fishes. In previous case, what happens here? In previous case, the glomerular kidney is there. But here, aglomerular kidney with less number of nephrons is most important. So that's why the marine fishes, marine organisms drink more seawater to escape that problem. Also drink seawater. So during drinking of seawater, what happens? Entry of more salts into the body occurs. That is also dangerous. In freshwater organisms, reverse. Everything is reverse. Endosmosis, exosmosis. Concentration of body fluids is greater than surrounding water. Concentration of body fluids is lesser than surrounding seawater. Like that you have to compare. This is glomerular kidney, that is aglomerular kidney. Here the chloride cells present, here also chloride cells present. But these chloride cells absorb these salts which are lost through urine. But these receive the excess salts through drinking of seawater. They also drink seawater. Seawater contains more salt. That's why they gain more salts. To eliminate those salts, same chloride cells help. So marine organisms also drink seawater and also gain more salts, which are excreted or secreted by chloride cells. These excess salts are excreted by chloride cells. Same chloride cells carry excretion here, their absorption here. Absorption in the case of freshwater organisms, excretion or secretion in case of marine fishes. So that almost reverse points you have to write down. Glomerular kidney, aglomerular kidney. Entry of water occurs into the body and loss of water occurs from the body. Like that you compare. So that easily you can write down. This is the first example. Second example is excess salts are eliminated by salt glands. Salt glands present in seagulls, seabirds, especially seagulls and penguins. You all know penguins, South Pole birds. Birds of South Pole are penguins. So seagulls and penguins, in which the salt glands present, in the seagulls we eliminate the excess salts through nostrils. Nostrils should be, salt glands should be underlined and excess salts through nostrils. Nostrils should be underlined. Nasal openings are called, these are nostrils. Through nostrils these salts come out, excess salts come. Excretion of salts occur. That is the help of salt glands present in both seagulls and penguins. Important. This is also very important. And then pass on to the next example. Next example is turtles. Turtles also live in the seawater. Reptiles. Marine chelonians are turtles. Cheloniimidas, best example. Turtles also have salt glands, and which eliminate the excess salts, come to the shore because it's a marine chelonian, come to the shore and eliminate the excess salts through eyes. Through eyes. So through eyes you must underline. Through nostrils there, in seagulls and penguins through nostrils. So here you must underline through eyes. Very important. This is as far as marine organisms. Last example is there. The sharks, they retain urea in their blood. Retain urea and TMO. TMO means trimethyl amino oxide. These two are retained in the blood of sharks, especially chondrichthyes. Trimethyl amino oxide, full form of TMO. To maintain the isotonic concentration with surrounding, to maintain the isotonic medium with surrounding seawater. Isotonic means equal concentration of body fluids and seawater. So to maintain this should be underlined with surrounding seawater. So this is the last example for the marine organisms water problems. Last example. And now, yes, it is also called uremia. Already we have given in that. So you can say this condition is called uremia. This condition, retention of urea in the blood, is called uremia. You can say uremia if you want. Okay, then terrestrial adaptations. Terrestrial organisms generally, definitely they face the problems. Sea, terrestrial adaptations. On land, definitely they face so many water problems. This is real problem. In the presence of water problems are there, nothing to worry. But in the absence of water, definitely water problem is there. Everybody can assess that there is a water problem of organisms living on land. So these terrestrial adaptations, the first example is kangaroo rat, North American rat, North American deserts it lives in the North American deserts. Kangaroo rat. This also once it is given for the NEET examination, country. Really. African lungfish, Protopterus. Protopterus belongs to which country, which continent? Africa. And this is North America. It lives in North American deserts. Kangaroo rat never drinks water. So this is the best adaptation, It is actually in the desert, no water is available. Water scarcity is very much in the desert area. Most no water. In such a cases, this kangaroo rat living in the North American desert never drinks water. And also excrete highly concentrated urine. Highly concentrated urine means in the highly concentrated urine, water content is totally limited. Liberation of highly concentrated urine and non-drinking of water. These are the two adaptations. So thus it retains more water in the body. Because of this highly concentrated urine liberation is a very difficult task, Why, Because they have, this is not there, I am giving you a reason. They have longest Henle's loop. They have long Henle's loop. Henle's loop is, presence of Henle's loop is the characteristic feature of the nephron of the mammals. Longest Henle's loop is present. Henle's loop significance itself is water absorption. Water absorbs. By absorbing more water during urine formation, so the water elimination through urine is totally prevented. That is the mechanism. And also it can produce the metabolic water on its own. That is the only water it depends on. It can produce metabolic water by the internal oxidation of fat. Just like camels. Camels also are living in the desert. They also don't get water. But the humans, they use the camels for their carrying heavy loads and all these purposes. So that's why camels water is available, because humans are domesticating them. But kangaroo rat nobody will bring and domesticate. That's why it can produce metabolic water by the internal oxidation of fat. That is the only water molecule, metabolic water. Only metabolic water is the source of water for the kangaroo rat. Very important. Given in the NCERT also. It is a mammal. Kangaroo rat is a mammal. Never drinks water. If you want the scientific name of kangaroo rat, Dipodomys. Dipodomys is the scientific name of kangaroo rat. Dipodomys. Okay, this is first example. And in the terrestrial water bodies, among plant kingdom, let us see. Even one another example is also there, a desert lizard. Of course, it is not given there, but very beautiful example, you know. That second example I will give you, of course not there in the Molech haridus. Molech haridus is a desert lizard. See, already I told you, it come and bask in the sun to warm up the body. Behavioral adaptation. Under that I have given this. There I didn't mention the scientific name, but here I am mentioning the scientific names also. Molech haridus, desert lizard. You see, this desert lizard has hygroscopic skin. This is very, very important adaptation to survive in the desert area. Hygroscopic skin is developed by the Molech haridus. What is hygroscopic skin? You know, among plant kingdom, hygrophytes are there. What are the hygrophytes? Orchidaceae family. All orchids are hygrophytes. Hygrophytes means those plants which absorb atmospheric moisture by velamen roots. So in all epiphytes, in plant kingdom, epiphytes are the, on mango tree especially, the vanda, etc. They have two types of roots: clinging roots for clasping the branches of the tree, and velamen roots are hanging roots which absorb the atmospheric moisture. That is also, you will come to know about the botany also. Yes. So hygroscopic skin, why it is so called? It absorbs the moisture from the atmosphere, which absorbs moisture from the atmosphere. That is the advantage for this. Thus it gains water molecules through moisture from atmosphere. So beautiful example, you know, for terrestrial adaptation, especially desert only is the best example, because no water is available. Then how can they survive? That is the problem. So that's why best examples, moisture from atmosphere. And third example, most important example is there, third example, plants. You know, all desert plants, especially, these are all desert plants. They develop thick-walled cuticle, first adaptation. Thick-walled cuticle prevent the evaporation of water. This is first advantage. And secondly, sunken stomata. In the NCERT book directly given, but in your academy book, yellow paragraph is there. That paragraph, last line after last line in the bracket, it is given NCERT. Just you observe. So the sunken stomata are present. Sunken stomata means stomata arranged in deep pits, because stomata is the source of evaporation of water. transpiration occurs through stomata. So that is stopped in the desert plants. Sunken stomata, digabadina stomata, patratandralu, deep pits. Sunken stomata means stomata in the deep pits. They are arranged in. This is another adaptation of these desert plants, thick-walled cuticle and sunken stomata. Should be underlined. For example, another example you can take in the plant kingdom, Opuntia. మనం తెలుగులో చెప్తూ ఉంటాం, ఎక్కడ పడితే అక్కడ బ్యారన్ ల్యాండ్ ఉంది కదా మనకి. బ్యారన్ ల్యాండ్ మీన్స్ బంజరు భూమి అంటాం మన విలేజెస్లో. ఓపెన్ ల్యాండ్స్ ఆర్ దేర్, బ్యారన్ ల్యాండ్స్. వేర్ క్యాలట్రాపిస్, జిల్లేడు మొక్కలు ఇవన్నీ ఉంటాయి కదా. వేర్ క్యాలట్రాపిస్ ఇస్ బయోడైవర్సిటీ, ఐ టోల్డ్ యూ, coextinction of the species. At the time I told you. So Opuntia, leaves are reduced to spines. Leaves are reduced to spines. No leaves, but the phylloclade, stem, a green stem. In stem modification you will know that green stem undergo photosynthesis. Green stem undergo photosynthesis. This is adaptation in case of Opuntia. And some plants develop. Another example, CAM. CAM means crassulacean acid metabolism. You will know about this in the photosynthesis in the next year, physiology. Crassulacean acid metabolism, that is the full form of CAM. Some plants exhibit, C3 plants and C4 plants are there, they exhibit this mechanism. So in this, stomata open during night time and close during daytime to prevent the evaporation of water. So that is called CAM. If you want, you can write down stomata open during night time, nothing to worry, and close during daytime. So another water body I have left with this water. This is beautiful essay question, a beautiful essay question. This one also very important essay question. This time temperature given. For you there are chances of getting this essay question. Definitely temperature may not be repeated, may be repeated, chances are there, but may not be repeated, already given recent exam. So that's why this essay question you can easily expect. If you want to read the structural organization, if you feel very difficulty, you can keep these temperature and water in handy, so that you can easily. So 7 essay questions are there in the structural organization. Here only 2 essay questions. So that's why. And last and final one is the water problems faced by brackish water organisms. Actually water bodies we have to sell, because why it is separately discussed, brackish water adaptations, how they occur, let us see. So in this regard, I wanted to discuss the most important point, that is 1, euryhaline and stenohaline. These 2 points, just like in the temperature, eurythermal and stenothermal, and in same terms, haline means salinity. See, what you call the plants which are growing near the seashore, saltwater plants, halophytes. That's why hali means salinity. Euryhaline, tolerate wide ranges of salinity. That is the meaning of euryhaline. Important for 2 marks question. Wide ranges of salinity variations. Wide range, but cannot tolerate narrow range of salinity variations also. That is stenohaline. Just like temperature, wide range of temperature, narrow range of temperature, there we have used, because thermal, eurythermal. This is haline means salinity. Cannot tolerate narrow range of salinity. So that is the difference between these 2. Of course, in the introduction itself it is given, At this time, when we discuss these 2 points, you can understand. So, this stenohaline organisms are all freshwater organisms. All freshwater organisms, best example. But euryhaline organisms, mainly majority marine and estuarine water examples, estuaries, brackish water brackish water organisms are the best examples for this. So what are discussed now, we are going to discuss, they are the examples for the euryhaline. What we are going to discuss, our heading is brackish water adaptations. This is the last point for the completion of water essay. So this euryhaline organisms can tolerate any change in the range of the salinity variations. That is wide range. Wide range means any range in the change of salinity variations can be tolerated by euryhaline. Best example, brackish water organisms. For example, they exhibit this anadromous migration and catadromous migration. For breeding purpose, anadromous migration means migration from seawater to freshwater. Migration of especially fishes. Migration of fishes from seawater to freshwater, saltwater to freshwater. That is called anadromous migration. Seawater to freshwater. Examples, Hilsa Elisha. So in Godavari district, we get this Hilsa. In Telugu, we call it Pulasa. Pulasa is a famous fish, because in our book there are so many fishes given, but you don't know the common names in Telugu. Catla, bochu chepa, and labia rohita, Silavati, in Astictis I told you, carps. Sirraina mrogala, bangar papa. In Telugu names also you must know. If you go to fish market and ask her where you have Sirraina mrogala, that fisherman lady, ఎల్లెల్లమ్మ నువ్వు కొన్నావు పో మా దగ్గర చేపలేదు. బంగారు పాపలు ఉన్నాయంటే చెప్పుద్ది కానీ సిర్రైనా మృగాల ఉందా, క్యాట్లా ఉందని అడుగుతావా? అడగకూడదు కదా. సో దట్స్ వై హిల్సా, ఇండియన్ షేడ్, అండ్ సాల్మన్ ఫిష్ బెస్ట్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్స్ ఫర్ ది anadromous migration. Famous in the Australia, America, all foreign countries, this fish is very famous, salmon fish. They migrate during breeding season. Migration of fishes from seawater to freshwater during breeding season, you can also add for spawning purpose. That is not a fish, right? You can give here example, that is also. So that migration is called anadromous. At that time also we have given the cyclostomes. And another migration is catadromous migration. Catadromous migration means reverse. Migration from river water to fresh water. That is sea water. River means fresh water to sea water. For breeding is same purpose. Example, our famous బొమ్మిడాల పులుసు. బొమ్మిడాయి పులుసు అంటాం కదా, బొమ్మిడాలు అంటాం కదా, స్నేక్ లైక్ ఫిషెస్, యాంగ్విల్లా బెంగాలెన్సిస్. బెస్ట్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఈజ్ యాంగ్విల్లా బెంగాలెన్సిస్ ఈజ్ ద బెస్ట్. అప్పుడే అయిపోయిందా? ఐ వాంటెడ్ టు కంప్లీట్ సాయిల్ ప్రెజర్ ఆల్సో. చేయొచ్చా? పర్లేదా? ఓకే, కంప్లీట్ చేద్దామని సాయిల్ ప్రెషర్. ఫ్రమ్ రివర్ వాటర్ టు సీ వాటర్, యాంగ్విల్లా బెంగాలెన్సిస్. సి కామన్ ఇండియన్ ఈల్. ఇఫ్ యూ వాంట్ కామన్ నేమ్, కామన్ ఇండియన్ ఈల్. ఇన్ తెలుగు వీ కాల్ ఇట్ బొమ్మిడాల చేప అంటాం. ఇఫ్ యూ గో టు ఆసిల్ మెట్టా జంక్షన్ ఆర్టీసీ కాంప్లెక్స్, సెంట్రల్ పార్క్ ఈజ్ దేర్, that area, fish market, big fish market is there, it is available. Anguilla, so best example for catadromous migration. So these fishes develop both the kidneys because the chloride cells of these fishes act. This is the clause here. In case of freshwater organism, fishes, the chloride cells help in the absorption of salts which are lost. In the seawater fishes, marine fishes, they excrete these salts which are gained through drinking seawater. But here, the chloride cells act as both excretion and absorption of salts. Excretion and absorption, because these are migratory. So this is about a beautiful essay question, water relations, which are solved by adaptations. That is the question. Now, let us take the soil. A fourth abiotic factor. Soil and pressure, fifth abiotic factor. Light completed, temperature completed, water completed. Now soil. Soil is very simple one. Study of soil is called edaphology. Of course, not there. Also called pedology. Another name of edaphology, pedology. Edaphology or pedology. And secondly, we want to grow vegetation in particular land, in particular area. We must see what type of vegetation can be grown there. Unnecessarily, for example, it is a gravel soil. In the gravel soil, can you cultivate the paddy? It is highly impossible. Either cashew or mango or groundnut. These are only. So the type of soil helps us and reveals us the type of vegetation that is to be grown in that particular area. So that's why the parameters of soil, you must study parameters of soil. Parameters of soil, in which the first and most important parameter, nature of weathering process. Weathering of rocks. Rocks are actually on the surface of land or water, whatever it is, rocks are there. They always go for disintegration and decomposition by air and water currents, they touch. Thus, by weathering process, soil formation occurs. Weathering process, soil formation occurs. For the soil formation, what is the most important process? Weathering. Means disintegration and decomposition of rock is called weathering. That is the meaning of weathering process. And secondly, the soil granules of soil, texture of the soil. You can also say texture of the soil. Some soils have small granules. Some soils have soft granules, large granules, gravel, like that. Texture of the soil is also important. And see, pH of the soil is also important. And percolation capacity of the soil also is another parameter. And also the water holding capacity. Suppose sandy soil is there. Though irrigation facilities are there, it can supply more water in the sandy soils, but it absorbs more and more water. That's why water holding capacity generally occur in sedimentary soils. They can retain the storing, they can have a beautiful storing capacity of water. That's water holding capacity. So these are important. So that's why by the above parameters, we can assess the type of vegetation that can be grown. We can assess the type of vegetation. Simply write type of vegetation that can be grown. You need not write whether
What is percolation, sir?
percolation also same. Absorption of water and holding of water. Same, almost. This is water relation. These two. So by the above, we can assess the type of vegetation that can be grown. Even in the aquatic ecosystem, sedimentation is the most important in aquatic system. Sedimentation means we call it burada antam mana telugulo, ponds aduguna burada. So that is, this is about the soil, that's all. And then last and final one is fifth one, pressure. On land, 1 atmosphere pressure is always there, less than 1 atmosphere pressure. Pressure can be measured in atmospheres, you know. But in sea water, water has highest pressure than air. On land, pressure is actually created by air, atmosphere. That's why lesser than 1 atmosphere. But in case of sea water, tons of pressure is there. So that is given for every 10 meters depth, the 1 atmosphere pressure increases. 1 atmosphere pressure increases. This should be noted down. So that's why all invertebrates living in the sea water, they face the more pressure problems in the sea water. This is most important noteworthy point. For every 10 meters depth, 1 atmosphere pressure increases. So in sea, fathoms of depth, measure depth unit is unit.
That is the reason why we have special suits for scuba diving.
Yes, yeah. That's why. Yes, diving purpose they use. So like that, yes. Suppose if you go to higher altitudes, then you have to face the higher altitudes like, this is important point as far as pressure is concerned. It is given in the NCERT also. Higher altitudes means mountain altitudes greater than 3,500 meters. Like what? Rohtang Pass. Rohtang Pass in Kuli Manali and Manas Sarovar. Rohtang Pass in Manali and Manas Sarovar in Tibet. Manas Sarovar in Tibet. See, we should face the altitude sickness. That is called higher altitudes like greater than 3,500 meters height, like Rohtang Pass in Manali and Manas Sarovar in Tibet. We face altitude sickness. What is altitude sickness? 2 marks question. Please remember this. Very important 2 marks question. Altitude sickness. In the bracket you write down 2 marks question. From the pressure also there is a question. That's why altitude sickness. So due to this altitude, what are the symptoms of altitude sickness? Let us write. Fatigue means tiredness. Nausea means vomiting sensation, reeling sensation of the head. And lastly, heart palpitations. Heart palpitations means increased heartbeats. This statement, symptoms of the altitude sickness, always given in the NEET for a statement type question. They are changed. By changing these symptoms, they will give. You have to identify. So fatigue means tiredness. Nausea means vomiting, heart palpitations. To overcome this, why they occur? Due to low atmospheric pressure in the higher altitudes. Low atmospheric pressure. And shortage of oxygen means hypoxia. Hypoxia term used for the shortage of oxygen, low oxygen content. So to overcome this, this is also important. What they undergo, to overcome this problem, increased number of RBC, and breathing. RBC and rate of breathing also increases. Rate of breathing and decreased binding capacity of hemoglobin. This is given in the NCERT also. That is the last line in the pressure. Decreased binding capacity of hemoglobin with oxygen. Decreasing binding capacity of hemoglobin. Hemoglobin shortcut HB. You have to write down this to overcome the problems. This part is very important for NEET as far as intermediate 2 marks question. So with this, today we have completed the abiotic factors. Okay, let us stop. Thank you very much, all of you. Another 10 minutes you have spared with me.